Can the stock keep going up? We've had some good days. We've had quite a few good days. But can it keep going up? Yeah, it can. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend. So I made a video, 6 months ago where I was saying, hey man, the stock is on a tumble. Can it go down even more? And I said, yeah, it can go down even more. And yeah, and it did. Can it keep going up? Of course it can. I would like to say a quick thank you to new patrons David, Larry, and Dave, and returning or upgrading patrons Christopher, Grace Hopper's Crunch, and Wally. Thank you for your support. It's why I'm able to do this. Appreciate it. So I don't know if you saw, today was a green day. That's pretty good. Zooming out, that's a green week. Zooming out, that's a green month. 6 months. Year to date, even if you look at the 1 year, it's still up from a year ago today. That's pretty exciting. Now, there were some spikes in here that make it less exciting. And if you go to the 5 year, there are still a number of long-term holders who are underwater. Not as exciting, I know. So what's going on? There's all kinds of good news, of course, but there's also a little bit of momentum trading, quite possibly. The philosophy of buy high, sell higher. I don't have to look for stocks that are undervalued. I just have to look for ones that are on the move and follow them. This was an interesting philosophy, and a lot of people live by it. One thing Alexandra Mertz pointed out this morning, institutional investors haven't really jumped in on Tesla as much, only representing about, 40%. That's a low number, I guess. If you look at Microsoft, it's more like 70%. If you look at Apple, it's 60%. So that means a lot of institutions haven't bought in. Now with Walmart, the numbers are a bit skewed because the family still holds a majority of it. But I guess slightly less than a majority, but they are the largest shareholder. But even still, if you look at the ratio of institutions to individuals, Tesla's underrepresented by big investors. How'd that happen? I'm sure you guys have some theories. One was it was very late to be added to the S&P 500. So unforgivable. It was a good 6 months late at least, maybe a year. It was terrible. A lot of companies missed out on a lot of gains because the S&P would not include them. And, well, they have to do X, Y, and Z. No, they don't. A lot of companies were included before they reached those milestones because it was obvious the direction in which they were heading. That was a stupid thing. So a lot of these institutional investors wouldn't touch it, in part because it wasn't in the S&P 500, and in part because it didn't have other ratings that it may have needed. They missed out. They missed the boat. If they'd have bought back then, they'd have a much bigger percentage today, but it will change over time. Tesla upgraded by S&P. So late. What were you thinking? Why did it take so long? But it's not just the S&P. As you'll recall, last October, this is the one in March. So in March of this year, Moody's finally upgraded Tesla's debt above junk status. There are companies that wouldn't touch it while it was in that kind of rating. They wouldn't dare touch it. Junk? You want my pension to invest in junk? Well, no. You have to look at the Altman Z score. You have to actually dig in. No. If anything happens, it's my butt on the line. This is not a good rated stock, which is crazy. The crazy thing about the ratings is if I'm an investor, I would like to hire you to tell me what the rating is. And investment agencies do pay them to do these ratings, but you know who else pays them? The company itself, the company being rated. They're getting paid on both sides, and Tesla wouldn't pay them because they didn't need to. So they really shortchanged investors, their own investors, by not re-rating it sooner. March of this year. And the other one was October of the year before. And then you kick them out of the ESG index. That's bizarre. Why would you do that? Now, they've been re-included since with no fanfare, with no announcement, but they were big on announcing, nope, they're booted. They're not sustainable enough. They're not green enough. Their governance is not good enough. What are you talking about, man? That's insane. And as such, institutional investors may not want to invest. There are a lot of companies that will not invest unless you are in the S&P 500 or the ESG rating or have a rating above junk. So the institutional guys were late to the game. And now they have to buy shares from you and me. And we don't want to sell them. So maybe they're waiting for a better deal. Well, they had a better deal. That better deal may not come back. Other good news, of which there is a non-zero amount. Do you know Cybertruck's coming soon? Yeah, we were hoping it'd be here by now. But we were hoping it'd be here by now a year ago. This is a very exciting... Oh, it's not 250,000 units. It's 375,000. I guess these people haven't been watching this channel. 375 is a very reasonable number. The design is simple. It's going to come out the door quickly. There are enough orders. It's going to sell. It's going to sell. There's demand. And all you need to do is produce them. They can produce them. So that's good news. That could be a catalyst moving forward. We need to advertise. This, my friend, this is an advertisement. It rolls around all day. Then we've got the Model Y, best-selling car in the world for Q1. Will it hold that position? Probably. They're still ramping Berlin and Texas. All they have to do to keep moving units is gradually reduce prices to reach more and more markets, more and more segments of the market. But there are new markets that are still being entered for the first time now. And yeah, this is going to be huge. Now, wait a second. There's sedans on here. I thought sedans were a thing of the past. Did you know that Ford Fusion was discontinued? Ford doesn't make any sedans. None. I mean, Lincoln does, I guess. Probably. But they got completely out of the segment. Well, we can't make money on it. We want to focus on higher margin, higher markup. It didn't translate into sales. They only sold 110,000. That proves the market's dead. Does it? Because to me, it sounds like it proves the market is interested in something that you're not selling. And I think maybe you should make a better car. Just thinking out loud here. So what are they selling instead? Oh, right. SUVs. Now, I couldn't find numbers on what percentage of Ford Explorers sold are sold to fleets. But I know the rental car companies all have them. I know the police all have them. I know cities have them for all kinds of different purposes. So it's crazy to think that these sales are going to stick when it's not electrified. Can you electrify that Explorer before Tesla comes in and steals the entire market? Now, some police departments are buying Mach-E's. That's reasonable. But when it comes to fleet sales, it's all about the dollars and cents. And if one car is $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 less, it is going to be the preferred fleet vehicle of choice. So that's something to look at. Not just what Tesla's doing, but what everyone else is doing, which is not enough. And then the big news this week is CCS is dead. That's the title of this video. Figured I'd go ahead and show Kyle because he's a cool dude. I've met him once or twice, and I've been on his podcast a few times. Yeah, not only is Ford and Aptera and General Motors on board, but now the company that makes the majority of parts for Electrify America has said, we are on board too. It's the direction we're going. The war has been fought. It is over. There is no more charging standard war. The next front on that war is going to be South America, because they haven't really built a charging infrastructure yet, and it's time to. So maybe with the advent of the compact model Tesla, the Q is what I'm going to call it until someone tells me otherwise, is it going to dominate? If it dominates, please don't build CCS. It's just going to have to be more stations you'll need to retrofit. So let's not do that. Another big catalyst coming up is that Gigafactory in Mexico. That's going to be a big deal. Groundbreaking hasn't happened yet. It is imminent, next month or two is what we're told. And there was a question I was asked, how do we know it's going to be twice the size of the existing factories? And that's a good point. We had to read the tea leaves to get to that conclusion. We know the land is twice the size, but that doesn't mean necessarily that the factory would be. We had to read a bit between the lines. And then we talked about this in the pre-show chat. Model 3 refresh, Highland. That's a fun design. I did see a person say, why do they have to look so angry? Can't a car not look angry? And there are different designs. There are happy cars. There are aggressive cars. There's a third one, I forget. But happy cars don't sell as well as aggressive cars. That's why a lot of cars look angry. That's why the Beetle, the new version, didn't sell all that well. But there are happy cars out there. So this is exciting for a bunch of reasons. It's almost certainly going to have front and rear castings. It's almost certainly going to have a structural battery pack. And it's definitely going to have the new cooling loop with octavalve rather than the super bottle, which will improve efficiency. Overall, we're looking at, I would estimate, a manufacturing cost savings of about $5,000, which, when you're trying to keep your margins high and your price low, is a big deal. And if they can make this more efficiently, it needs a little bit less battery. Maybe you get a little extra range. Maybe you get a little lighter battery pack. If it gets lighter, all the parts start getting cheaper. It's a good deal. It's going to be exciting. And I believe that because there's 2 lines of Model 3s being made in Fremont and 2 lines of them being made in Shanghai, I believe 1 line in each of those factories has been shut down for retooling while the other continues pumping out cars. Because the thing they learned from the S and X refresh is 2 weeks can turn into 6 months or a year. Can't have that. We cannot go 6 months without making Model 3. We also know that Wuwa had a little problem with his drone on a recent flight. He tried to fly over the Shanghai factory and found his GPS was jammed, causing his drone to crash. He was able to recover it, but GPS jamming devices apparently are not illegal. In China, you can buy them and use them. They're supposed to post signs telling you it's a no-fly zone so you don't try. But it's entirely possible that these are already rolling out the door in China and that we just haven't been able to see them. That's pure speculation, but it's qualified speculation. And then we've got the moonshots. I'm not counting these in the 12 to 24 month horizon, and in a lot of ways I'm not counting them at all because they're moonshots. The Tesla bot is a moonshot. FSD remains a bit of a moonshot. If either of those work out, it's going to be ginormous. It's going to be a big, big deal. And I feel like moonshots is what Elon's always been about. In fact, when I tried to look it up for this show, I found this article, Elon Musk's 4 wildest moonshots and how they've paid off. This is from 2015. This is an old article. And yeah, SpaceX, that was a moonshot. One of the others is Starlink, moonshot. And that one, I don't know how they were saying it was already paying off. But then you've got some sillier ones that I wholly disagree with. Solar City, I guess, it's fine. And then Hyperloop. Okay, that hasn't paid off. But yeah, and then Starlink. But it's interesting. This has always been his jam. And I would argue that Giga Nevada was a moonshot. It was very expensive. Why not just buy the batteries from someone else? They already make them. Why do you need a partner? Why do you need to make more batteries than the entire world combined as of the time of groundbreaking? Well, you just plain do. So we're going to get into the Q&A here in a minute. We're going to drop into the old Q&A hole. First, I wanted to mention tomorrow I'm going to be at Charger Chat, Puget Sound chapter, in Tacoma Mall Boulevard, Evergreen Shopping Center, noon to 2. It's kind of by the Chuck E. Cheese, if you know where that is. My kids are a little older now, but That's still a thing that exists, I'm told. Not sure, but I think they still exist. So that'd be fun if I could check you out there. And then next week I'm going to be on the road. I'm leaving on the 13th, and I'll be gone through the weekend. Tesla Summer Meetup in Pier Marquette Beach in Muskegon, Michigan, June 17th. It's a cool event. Kelly and Bert are helping me get out there. And while I'm in Michigan, I am going to be visiting the folks at Monroe & Associates. So if you've got any real good questions I should ask, by all means. I've got some great ideas, but we shall see how that goes. And I did want to also say a world of thanks to my patrons who get all kinds of bonus stuff. I've now enabled memberships on YouTube. If you'd prefer to support me on YouTube, there's a membership button. You can just click it and join. And I've got a couple of videos up there and a couple more scheduled that have nothing to do with Tesla. That's interesting. So let's jump into the chat and see what we got going on, because we got a few minutes left.